Hi, and welcome to CMPP Speakers for Schools programme. My name's Rachel, and today I'm going to be chatting to Dan Greene. Now, Dan is the Executive Head Chef at the Aviator Hotel in Farnborough. So, hi, Dan.
Hiya, how are you?
Great, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Very good.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, not a problem.
So, Dan, can you tell us then what does an Executive Head Chef do?
So, my role in the hotel is basically looking after all of the food through the whole operation. So this is from breakfast, lunch and dinner in both our outlets. We have two restaurants. This includes afternoon tea that we offer. This is all of our weddings, all of our meetings, everything to do with the food that's served here. It's managing and controlling that from purchasing, production, the health and safety side of it, the food safety side of it, allergen procedures. It's the managing of the total operation from start to finish with regards to food.
Yeah, so quite a lot involved then, isn't it? Because you sort of think of
it's a lot of hats. I know, especially when I got into cooking as a career, as a job, I didn't realise how much non-cooking there was as an aspect of it. How much more you needed, how much more you needed to know, how many more other skill sets you needed that weren't just, I'm really good at cooking. Yeah, I really like cooking.
And is that because you're sort of on the executive head sort of chef side of things that you're taking on all of that?
I think it's probably similar to most careers. As you go up the ladder, sort of that initial thing that you wanted to do changes. You know, we've probably got about 4 or 5 positions within a kitchen that are solely cooking related. You know, it's predominantly 95% of your day is cooking. And as you get up the ladder, we use a French system of positions within the kitchen. So once you get to a sous chef or a junior sous chef, which is sort of the assistant manager role, you start to see a lot more of this. You start to see a lot more of the accounts, a lot more of the paperwork, a lot more of the inner workings of a kitchen from a non-food side.
Yeah. So what percentage of your day do you spend cooking, if at all?
Probably actually cooking on the stove, 10-20%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so my role on a day-to-day with regards to actual cooking, I generally run the pass, which is what you'd see on TV, any sort of TV program regarding restaurants, kitchens, that person on the pass, calling on checks, managing the team, managing the food going out is generally where I'll stand. Yeah. And as I said, the amount of time cooking is a lot less than it used to be.
So that's making sure everybody's doing the job right, the customers are getting the right sort of levels of food.
Yeah, everyone's getting what they want, everything's going out correctly. We're very lucky here that we've got a fantastic team. In the kitchen and outside, they're absolutely spot on.
And the Aviator is amazing anyways, and it's a high-end sort of restaurant.
Yeah, so that's it. It's quite easy for us to forget being back of house. We don't see everything that the guest sees. We're in the kitchen, we're in the back, we're not guest facing, so it's quite easy to forget for us when we do set foot out front. You go, wow, we are actually really good. Really quite high end, really quite exciting. When you're in a room that we are in the kitchen, you sort of lose sight of that sometimes. So really important to keep your finger on the pulse that we are actually really, really quite good.
Yeah. And do you miss doing the cooking side, or?
I think your passion, your love, your views on it change. What I used to do now, how I used to be as a chef, as a cook. The role changes. What you enjoy changes. You learn new things. It's one of the great things about cooking is you never stop learning. I have 16-year-old kids come in and show me things that I've never heard of, never seen. So there's always that movement and always that development and learning. And it just means it changes. When I do cook, of course, I enjoy it. I wouldn't be sat here. I wouldn't have given as much as I have to my career if I didn't. But there's a pleasure in seeing other people develop, from that managerial side, seeing people become who you were, how you used to be, what you used to enjoy, and seeing them taking the same pride in it. It's fantastic. It's almost filled in the gaps.
And so how did you get then to the position you are? Let's go back to sort of when you left school. Did you always want to be a chef, and what was your career journey?
So when I left school, I had adequate GCSEs. I did okay. I went on to do I think it's Hospitality and Catering at Farnborough Tech.
Right.
So I'm local to this.
Yeah.
Did my 3 years of work there. I actually started out in a pub doing weekends, helping out a really small locals pub. Moved on to a harvester. My first proper job was in a harvester. And then as I carried on with my career in cooking and my training, I went on to the Village in Farnborough, now at the Veer venue. Did a year there working on some really good head chefs. And then from there is sort of when my career started taken seriously, should we say. I finished my college. I then went into something we call contract catering. So you have two aspects of, more than two, but two obvious styles of cooking. You either work in a restaurant or hotel, or you work in what we call contract catering, which would be schools, banks, things like this. So I moved on to Charterhouse in Godalming.
Okay.
And I did 3 years there, which was a fantastic experience. They do some fantastic food there. We were catering to 1,000 children at mealtime. Completely different to what I do now, what I do at Aviator, but really good experience. From there, I actually moved to Aviator as, again, a French setup chef de partie, which is sort of a general level cook. And did 2 years working, 2 or 3, I think, working here up until junior sous. I then moved to a 3-rosette hotel just outside of Gatwick called Langshot Manor in Hawley. Part of a smaller team, a lot better food, fine dining, refined. The caliber of what we did was fantastic. Did a year there, 2 years there, and then come back to Aviator, offered the sous position, and then from there worked up to executive head chef.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. And it's great to hear that you sort of started at the weekend, started at the harvester, and now you're
100%.
working at a high end. Yeah,
100%. It's sort of, I've worked with some fantastic chefs currently in my team, and their startings are not what you would expect. I've had 2 fantastic chefs that have come from McDonald's. I've had another one of our chefs come from contract catering, Wellington College. It's really about you as a person than it is about sort of where your CV is and what your career is and what you've done previously. A huge amount of, especially for me, a huge amount is who you are as a person.
I was just going to say that. What other skills do you think you need that sort of go alongside any education you've got?
For us, it's all mentality. A lot of it is mentality. A lot of it is approach. Cooking is not an easy career path. It's not easy. Everything that you hear about, it runs semi-correct. It's long hours, it's hard work, it's tiring. But it's, as I said, who you are as a person. It's wanting to learn. It's enjoying your job. It's a tough one. It's enjoying what you do, taking pride in what you do, an ability to work hard, which sounds really blasé and really, really sort of simple, but you'll be surprised how many people really struggle to work hard, really put the effort in, to develop themselves, to drive themselves, and really want to do more and really want to be good and get good. It's a huge factor. In kitchens, it's all about learning. It's all about developing. As I said, I've had people come in from what you would not believe to be CVs and previous jobs that you would put together, and they've just wanted to work. They've been hungry for it. They've wanted to put the effort in. They have put the effort in. They put the time in. They're humble. They're and just good people. And
then you can really work your way up, like you've done.
The opportunities come from that. It's 100% hard work. There's no hiding from it, and I feel that's probably accurate for a lot of careers. I can only speak for myself, that it's one of the biggest aspects. It's really about putting that effort in. It's really about developing, learning, being a fantastic, a good character, being willing to learn, willing to work. I've had some people in that are fantastic cooks, and just that attitude that comes with it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm in this team currently. I'm trying to teach and drive people to become head chefs, to become leaders, and a huge amount of it is how you are as a person.
Yeah.
Your approach, your attitude. You work hard. You work hard to get where you want to be, and it falls into place.
And it must be quite stressful, but I bet there's quite a bit nice sort of banter relationship because you're behind.
Yeah, I think that's
the
a huge
scenes.
thing. A lot of workplaces, talk about family and how workplaces are a family and this and the other. But in kitchens, it rings a little bit truer. We do some long hours. We spend a lot of time here, and the people around you are essential. If you've got a good team that are all in a positive mindset, all enjoy being there, you don't realise, these tough times, these stressful times, of course, but you've got the people around you to pick you up, be it within the kitchen or within the hotel. That morale boost of the team around you is massive. There are some days where everything's going wrong and you're up against everything, and just having people around you to support you that we have here is second to none.
Yeah. And so what do you think is the most challenging thing about your job?
About my role, it's definitely the many hats. It's definitely the learning of all of these items and all these parts of my job that you never thought would come together. There's a knowledge on accountancy, there's a knowledge on employment law, there's leadership skills. I think that the challenging part is managing all of this. But again, if you've got a fantastic team, it all falls into place. I've got some fantastic chefs, some fantastic sous chefs, assistant managers that give me the opportunity to be able to do my role successfully. So it sort of eliminates it. The biggest stresses we have are stuff changes. We're all human. From us as cooks and chefs to the guests coming in, people make mistakes. People make mistakes on timings, day, and stuff has to change. But it's being flexible, understanding that you need to be flexible, and if you are immediately flexible and you react to the situation, no stress comes from it, which is a fantastic way. Stuff will change. You have to be open to this, and making those changes and having that mindset initially, just you don't come across the pressures because you've got solutions already.
Yeah. And what do you then love most about your job?
This is a strange one. I love the environment more than anything. I love the kitchen. I love being at work. I enjoy being at work. I enjoy the kitchen. And I enjoy time here. I love cooking. I love food. I love making people happy. It's one of the biggest things for us as chefs. We're in the business of pleasure. We're making people happy. People come here, they spend money that they've worked hard to get on treats, on excitement, on special occasions. And it's about us delivering that to their expectations, be it someone that's spending £10,000 on a wedding, or some people that have saved up for weeks, months to come here for an anniversary dinner. And making sure we hit that expectation, making sure that we exceed it, is what makes me happy. It's what makes me, glad I do the job I do, and keeps me interested in the job we do.
Yes, it really must. And what does your future hold then? So executive head chef, what's the next step? Or are you just...
This is again, it's a tough movement. I enjoy working in hotels. I enjoy working in restaurants. I'd love to carry on this role, at Aviator, or moving on when the time comes. I don't see it in the near future. There are movements. You can get into slightly bigger companies, doing slightly different roles, developing. So working for companies. I know a chef who works for Fuller's, and he's in charge of all of the food for all Fuller's pubs. So this is a strong movement. Once you get to sort of my position, teaching is always something that I thought about in the colleges. It's always something I've sat on. There are so many avenues that you can go down as a chef, and they're not quite ones I've explored yet. I still think I've got a bit of time, in hotels doing the hard graft, couple more bits I want to succeed in, a couple more things I want to achieve for myself before I look to take that move maybe away from these professional kitchens. But yeah, there's so much potential movements with the training that we have. There's moving into environmental health. A lot of chefs go into becoming environmental health officers, so you go on and do degrees in microbiology.
Wow.
There are a lot of chefs that go into, I said, teaching, training, procurement. We have companies we use that help us source pricing and ingredients, and that's a whole role in itself that so many chefs go down, so many avenues. It's crazy to think the doors that get unlocked through cooking.
Yeah,
And it's
really
not just,
so many opportunities, isn't it?
It's not just stood in the kitchen until until you retire.
Yeah,
it can be such a small part of what you do in your career. Could be cooking, through a love of food, and you can find yourself in a completely different place.
Really interesting. And so, do you have any final bits of advice for any sort of school-age students just out there making their choices?
I think what's essential is the key subjects: your maths, your English, your science. These are integral. For me, I never knew I'd use it so much. Maths and science are a huge part of, and now ICT, they're a huge part of what I do on the day-to-day. Maths with the finance side of it, recipes, it's a huge part, and science, logical thinking. I never realized I'd have so much knowledge, or needed so much knowledge, on osmosis, on acid levels, alkaline levels, on chlorophyll, how to extract chlorophyll from leaves, from green leaves. When I was doing my science GCSEs, I thought it was information that I'd retain for my exam, and I'd never use it again. And actually, it's come back round again. I think it's essential to treat them seriously. And then I think, as I said, it's attitude, it's approach to work, it's a willingness to work hard, it's a willingness to get where you want to be, because no one gets there without working hard. Regardless of what anyone says, you've got to put the hours in any career that you do. You've got to put the work in, both at work, away from work, developing yourself. I spend a lot of my time reading cookbooks, reading recipe books, sourcing products, going to restaurants, going to farmers markets, researching ingredients, finding new things, interesting things. It's that want to do well, it's that drive to do well, it's that drive to be the best, and putting that actually into action that's integral. I don't think anyone gets anywhere in their career without working hard. And I don't think it was ever, maybe it was put across, maybe I didn't listen when I was younger, but as soon as I started taking it seriously, I realized that it's hard work. You will learn, you will develop, you will get to the place that you want to get, but it takes time to get there. I think being humble, being hardworking, having an open mind, willing, you're going to start at the bottom. You're going to be that new entry. It's going to be a while before you maybe even see what you thought you were going to be doing. These people going on to do degrees and things like that, you don't even see your career until you're done with it all. You're fully trained, and you don't even get an insight into what you do. So it's being patient. It's realizing you start from the bottom. Everyone's been there. The amount of potatoes I've peeled in my life, the amount of onions I've peeled, the amount of eggs I've fried, the amount of, these jobs that are, need to be done. They're mundane, but you learn from it. Someone's got to do it. At the end of the day, these companies are businesses. They need to achieve. And if you look after the businesses, then the businesses look after you. I'm a fantastic example of that with Aviator. I like to think that I worked hard in my time here, and that's what's helped me achieve what I've done today.
That's brilliant. There's so many fantastic bits of advice there. Thank you, Dan. That was absolutely brilliant. And thank you so much for your time today.
No problem. Perfect.
Thank
you
you.
very much.